Wishing you all a very good evening and thank you for joining with us today on a lovely Thursday for the CA Sri Lanka live question and answer session. So, to start off with, let me give you a brief idea about this program. The CA Student Society, along with the Institute chats once in every month regarding different aspects relating to us students, whether it be academic, non-academic, or professional. I am Sarah Schiffer, a member representing the CA Student Society, and will be your moderator for today's session on behalf of the entire student population. Once again, I welcome you all to the 8th live chat session with CA Sri Lanka. I request you all to stay attentive throughout today's program. Feel free to jot down any questions you have throughout the program. Please do drop all your doubts and clarifications to be made via the chat box option, or our guest speakers, and also our guest speakers for the day will definitely get them clarified for you before we call it a day. So I'm happy to announce that we have with us today the Senior International Business Development Manager at ICAEW, Mr. Daniel Wesley, a financial reporting accountant for IFRS 17 at Mutual Re, UK, Mr. Kamindu Ruendra, who is a member of CA Sri Lanka as well as a member of ICAEW as our resource persons for the day. We are indeed happy to have you both join us and appreciate your time and effort amidst your busy schedules to educate us regarding this dual membership scheme and being able to be a dual qualified professional attached to both ICASL and ICAEW. So, turning a new leaf in the country's dynamic accounting profession, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka has broken new grounds by entering into a strategic alliance with one of the world's most respected and prestigious accounting bodies, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. The CA Sri Lanka ICAEW agreement has allowed us aspiring chartered accountants to expand our horizons and not to be restricted by borders, while also helping ourselves to strengthen our position across the globe and enjoy better career progression opportunities. Further, we have with us Ms. Lakmali Priyangika, the Director for Student Affairs, Ms. Sujiva Munidasa, Manager Student Services, Mr. Aruna Dayananda, Manager Student Services, Mr. Aruna Rajapaksha, Deputy Manager Education, Mr. Augusta Gunawardena, Manager Education, and Ms. Lakmini Pereira, Deputy Manager Education as our panelists for the day. Without having to wait further, let us now hop into what we are gathered for this evening. I would now like to invite Mr. Daniel Wesley. Platform is now over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that introduction, Sarah. Much appreciated. So good evening, everyone, or good afternoon here from the UK. I hope you're all doing very well. It's my pleasure to be presenting to you today to introduce you all to the Joint Student and Membership Scheme, which is a route for chartered accountants in Sri Lanka to qualify with ICAEW. I think Sarah mentioned that it was quite a unique route that we have in place, so I'm really excited to be talking to you about it. I actually recognise some names of attendees on the list, so if we've connected before, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining, yeah, without further ado, I guess I'll kick off. So just going to share my screen. Sarah, if you could please just confirm for me that that is appearing before I start.
Yes, it's visible.
Excellent. So thanks again for the introduction, Sarah. So yeah, my name is Dan Wesley. I'm the Senior International Business Development Manager here at ICAEW. I've been with ICAEW for about 2.5 years, working within our international team, primarily focused on developing more relationships and more students and more employer connections and more initiatives and schemes such as this one we have in place. Big part of my role is to build on everything that we have in place across the South Asian region. So I spend a lot of my time dealing with people in Sri Lanka, but also in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal as well. So very regularly visiting the region, certainly now that we're post-pandemic and able to travel again, hoping that I'll be able to visit Sri Lanka again soon. Maybe we can even connect in person at some point at an event in the future. So today we're here to talk about the Joint Student and Membership Scheme. But in terms of the things that we'll cover across this presentation, I'll introduce you to ICAEW to kick things off. So give you a bit of a tour of our background and history of the Institute of Chartered Accountants here. But we'll also talk about the benefits of ICAEW and talk about the main reasons that people tend to want to become a member of our institute. Then we'll go into a bit more detail specifically on the Joint Student and Membership Scheme. So this strategic alliance, as Sarah referred to it, that we have in place with CA Sri Lanka. We'll talk about that in some real detail and talk about how you can use this route based on the experience that you have already, or potentially if you're looking to join CA Sri Lanka, how you can take this route to become a dual member of both institutes, so Sri Lanka and ICAEW. I'll talk to you a bit about the exams as well and the costs that are attached in terms of wanting to sit for ICAEW exams. And then I'm going to give you a demonstration of the exam software that's used for all of the ICAEW elements of this pathway. I'm thrilled as well to confirm that we are joined today by Kamadhu Ravindra. I know Sarah introduced him as well. So Kamadhu has sat these exams before. So he's definitely in a great position to be sharing his experience of sitting those exams. And I'm sure he'll be talking about what opportunities have been afforded to him following his successful completion of ICAEW exams as well. So he's a member of both institutes and here to talk to you about that journey of his today. There will also be an opportunity at the end for some Q&A. So if you do have anything that doesn't make sense or anything that you wanted clarification on, then please do ask a question in the Q&A box, or I'm sure there'll be an opportunity towards the end to raise your hand potentially as well. So just to kick off then, so who is ICAEW? So the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, we were founded in 1880. We were one of the first institutes in the world to form way back in 1880. And since then, we've grown to the position where we are now, where we have almost 190,000 chartered accountants and students across 147 countries. So whilst we are the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, you'll see just by the sheer spread of ICAEW members and students that we are far beyond England and Wales, and we are truly an international institute and an international organisation. We do have our headquarters in London, but we also have regional offices around the world, such as cities like Beijing, Dubai, Hanoi, and other parts of Southeast Asia as well, in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. So whilst we have offices in these parts of the world, we do have members across 147 countries. So we might not have an office in Sri Lanka, for example, but we do have members who are acting as the ICAEW community within those 147 countries. We're also a part of and a founding member of Chartered Accountants Worldwide. Chartered Accountants Worldwide, or CAW, is a network of chartered accountancy institutes who have all joined together to ensure that there is a much broader network and a platform for people to share resources and to network with other chartered accountants across various different institutes from all parts of the world. So that network reaches 1.8 million chartered accountants. So if you were to join to be a member of CA Sri Lanka and or ICAEW, you would have access to that network, a truly global network. So we're a world leader of the accountancy, finance, and the business profession. And one of our biggest goals and aims is to build trust in the accountancy profession and ensure that there is a world of strong and sustainable economies. So a lot of the work that we do in that area is in collaboration with chartered accountancy institutes such as CA Sri Lanka, where we have a number of initiatives to ensure that we're heading towards that goal, a truly global goal to ensure a world of strong and sustainable economies. ICAEW is very popular across large organizations and not just within the accountancy profession. So yes, we have many members across big four accountancy organizations such as PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, etc. But we do have lots of ICAEW chartered accountants who are on the board of large commercial organizations as well. So big brands that we would all know and recognize, such as Coca-Cola, for example. So recent surveys show that 77% of the FTSE 100 companies have an ICAEW chartered accountant on the board, and 96 out of the world's 100 global leading brands actually employ ICAEW chartered accountants. So it goes to show that there are chartered accountants in a whole variety of organizations across all different sectors and in many different positions across that organization as well, from CEO to CFO and into managers and senior managers as well. So we do have a long history of working with the Institute within Sri Lanka. So ICAEW and CA Sri Lanka have worked together on various projects for almost 40 years, in fact, even beyond 1995. But we really started working closely to collaborate on how we should develop qualifications to ensure that we are building towards a global standard of qualification. In 2010, we signed our first agreement between ICAEW and CA Sri Lanka, which was an MOU signing, which allowed us to review each other's syllabus and to ensure that we were on the same track when it came to education and training across the education of new chartered accountants coming through. We've then renewed that agreement at various times over the past 10 years. In 2017, we entered into an agreement for pathways, which is a very different route for people to join ICAEW, but it's a route for more senior members of CA Sri Lanka. So members who have been qualified for more than 5 years can join ICAEW via the pathways to membership route. But all of this journey that we've all been on between CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW has built towards this groundbreaking, to be honest, agreement that we launched in 2020. It's unlike any agreement that ICAEW has with any other institutes across the world. So I've mentioned already that a big part of what ICAEW does is about working in collaboration with institutes across the globe. This joint student and membership scheme is the first of its kind, and it is totally unique to anything that we do with any other institute. And it's all about providing a pathway or a route for students who want to become chartered accountants. So we're looking at the new world of chartered accountants, or a new generation of chartered accountants that might be coming through school or completing A-levels, or perhaps even partway through your CA Sri Lanka exams. This route is about the future generation of chartered accountants and giving them the opportunity to become a member of CA Sri Lanka and of ICAEW simultaneously. So clearly the benefits of becoming a member with CA Sri Lanka are clear. To give you your recognition and to be a chartered accountant within Sri Lanka, you must be a member of of CA Sri Lanka. But why do people want to become a member of ICAEW? So we regularly ask members or new members once they've qualified exactly what their driving reason was to become a member of ICAEW. And the 5 key themes that we see or that we hear from them, you'll see on the screen in front of you. So ICAEW gives members a global recognition. So the fact that we have members across almost 150 countries, it's got that recognition within employers, by governments, by other professional bodies. So the caliber of an ICAEW member is recognized across 150 countries around the world. It can give people the career progression that they're looking for. So ICAEW could help you stand out from the crowd by having an elite membership global qualification such as ICAEW could really stand out on your CV if you're looking for a promotion or looking to get your foot in the door at a new organization. I think we talk a lot about mobility that ICAEW membership gives business professionals. So the relocation potential that's there, truly moving into a global world now where we see people qualify with ICAEW and take that qualification into a new part of the world. So Kamadu will talk to you a little bit about that later on. He's an actual example of someone who qualified locally in Sri Lanka and has taken or used his ICAEW qualification and his ICAEW element to take him into various parts of the world for work. ICAEW works hard on producing various different supports and resources for chartered accountants. So once you qualify with ICAEW, your relationship with ICAEW doesn't stop there. There's lots that you can do to engage with the institute to ensure that your skills and your knowledge is kept up to date. So it's vital that ICAEW gives you the platform to be able to do that, which we'll talk a bit more on the next slide. But also as your career flourishes and as your career goes forward, by using the ICAEW networks and the networks of CAW or Chartered Accountants Worldwide, there's an opportunity to find new clients or just use that as a networking opportunity to find a new job or to meet new people in different areas or different countries. So those are the key or 5 key reasons that people want to become an ICAEW member. But in terms of the benefits that we directly offer, so we have CABA, which is a charity that was set up to support professionals in personal situations or professional situations as well. If you're looking to start a business or you've got an ethical dilemma, there's CABA that will help you to do that. It's a charity that was set up by ICAEW over 100 years ago. But we also have our own in-house technical and ethical advice teams that will be there to support you throughout your career. We have faculties and communities that you can join, which regardless of what area that you're working in within finance, there'll be a faculty or a community that you'll be able to be a part of that will give you up-to-date knowledge and up-to-date information of exactly what is changing in that particular area. Technology and everything that changes so quickly, you could fall behind very quickly. So ICAEW ensures that you have that information at your fingertips on a regular basis. We also run a number of virtual member events. So things like this, we're running all the time, certainly throughout the pandemic and post-pandemic. Doing things virtually is here to stay, but we are going to be doing face-to-face sessions as well. So definitely in the future, once you become an ICAEW member, there'll be opportunities to engage with other members in a face-to-face event. We offer courses and CPD if you're looking to broaden your horizons and learn about a different subject within finance. There is the ICAEW Academy that's open to you as a member. There's a jobs page as well, or a jobs portal. So if you're looking to find a new job in another country or within Sri Lanka potentially, ICAEW members are posting jobs on our portal saying that they're looking for ICAEW members of certain and different levels of experience. We're always providing new insights and newsletters through different kinds of communications, and we have contact members in about 50 countries around the world. So these are the go-to people within that particular country who are ICAEW members and can help you if you're looking to set up there or find new clients there, potentially, depending on what you're doing in your career. So there's a whole network of support that ICAEW sets up for you once you become a member. We spoke briefly about the faculties. So you'll see in the top right there that there's an audit and assurance faculty or a banking faculty. So regardless of what area that you're working in, there'll be a faculty for you to join. And the same goes for community. You could, for example, join a community of other South Asian chartered accountants in that specific community that's there for people from South Asia. Just as an example as well, we have a data analytics community. And you'll see we've got 25,000 people that use that, which really goes to show that it's a relevant topic, and people are finding value in being a part of that community because it's helping them do their job and it's helping them to progress in their career. So in terms of that route to dual membership then, so this is a bit of a roadmap that you'll see here from left to right, which you'll see the end goal is to become a dual member of CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW. So I would imagine that on the call today, we've got various people at various different stages of this roadmap. Perhaps you're just completing your A-levels and considering what's next and keen to look at maybe chartered accountancy as a career. These are the different levels that you'd have to work through in order to be eligible to join this joint program or to join the dual membership scheme. So you'll notice that the business level 1, business level 2 is part of the CA Sri Lanka syllabus. You'd work your way through those levels and into the corporate level. Now, after you complete the corporate level, that's when you'd be eligible to join the ICAEW joint scheme, or that's when you'd be eligible to sit the ICAEW exams. Now, in order to be qualified from the exam requirements, you would have needed to have completed everything, including the corporate level. Then you would need to sit 2 of the 5 strategic level exams. So there are 5 in total at that strategic level under CA Sri Lanka. You would need to complete SL2, Corporate Finance and Risk Management, and SL3, the Corporate Taxation exams. So instead of sitting those final 3 strategic level exams, if you wanted to become a dual member, you would register with ICAEW and you would sit our advanced level exams, of which there are 3. So you would sit those exams instead of the 3 strategic level exams. So you'll notice that you're not expected to do any additional exams. The ICAEW exams quite simply replace those final 3 strategic level CA Sri Lanka exams. So in terms of qualifying as a member or as a dual member, there are 4 main requirements. There's the practical work experience and the professional development requirement. So that's all done with CA Sri Lanka. So if you're already a part of CA Sri Lanka or you're already a student, you will be on a training agreement, or you'll be working with a training firm or business that's giving you your practical work experience and your professional development. So that's all handled by CA Sri Lanka. ICAEW recognizes that process. So there's no further training that you would need to complete with ICAEW directly. Everything that you're doing right now will be sufficient from an ICAEW perspective. So that's the first 2 requirements. The third requirement are the exams. So we touched on that on the previous slide. So you need to complete all of the exams that are necessary in order to qualify alongside your training. So that's a mixture, as we've already discussed, of CA Sri Lanka exams moving into the ICAEW final 3 exams, as we discussed. The final requirement is ethics and professional skepticism. So ethics is a huge part of the profession, and being ethical and understanding why it's important is a huge part of being a chartered accountant. So we have an ethics learning program that is written by ICAEW, which you would have to complete as you work through your exams or through your training. So those are the 4 requirements. Once you've completed each of those, that's when you'd be eligible to join as a dual member of CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW. So in terms of the subjects themselves, I think it's important just to show you what the full ICAEW qualification looks like. So you'll see from the bottom there, we've got the certificate level and the professional level. Those are the exams that you would be exempt from. So you don't have to sit those exams, because what you're doing at the business level and at the corporate level with CA Sri Lanka is the same essentially as what we deliver within the certificate professional level. So you'd be recognized for those particular exams. The only exams you have to sit with ICAEW are the highlighted advanced level exams. So corporate reporting, strategic business management, and then the final case study exam. Now remember, those 3 exams replace the 3 exams from this strategic level of CA Sri Lanka's syllabus. Potentially we have some students on the call today who might be sitting a previous version of the CA Sri Lanka syllabus. So I'm not too sure how relevant this slide will be. Potentially it will be if you are on a previous version of the CA Sri Lanka syllabus. Usually when we run these sessions, there might be a request to come back to this slide, depending on a particular question that anyone might have, considering what stage of the qualification they're at. So don't worry too much about that. We spoke about the ethics learning program. So why is that important? I think ethics, trust, and integrity underpins what all finance professionals should be doing and what chartered accountants should be living and breathing on a daily basis. So ethical considerations are a vital addition to our qualification and training. There are many routes into becoming an ICAEW member from all around the world, but no matter what route you've come through, you would have had to go through some form of ethical program. So in terms of what's required from this, so it's a program that's all online. It's all done through ICAEW.com, all through our website. There are 6 practical modules that you need to complete with practice questions and progress tests that will test your knowledge and your understanding of particular areas. There are interactive videos and articles to read and questions that consider a wide variety of ethical dilemmas. And then there's a short assessment at the end, but all of that is done in your own time. And there's a pass mark of 70% for that. Now, in terms of the exams themselves, so ICAEW exams, they're all computer-based. So I appreciate that you might not be too familiar with sitting exams for your chartered accountancy exams on computer, but all of ICAEW exams are computer-based. I will be demoing the software very shortly, so I'll give you a bit of an idea as to what that software looks like, and you will soon see how straightforward it is to use and very practical. So all of the exams test your integration of skills and your knowledge. I think that's an important piece to play, because a lot of what ICAEW does is test your application of your skill and your understanding and actual real life understanding of what it takes to be a chartered accountant. We're not testing you on your technical knowledge of particular areas. It's all about how you put that into practice. So when I demo the software, you'll see exactly what we mean by having to work on a real life scenario, for example. All of the exams are open book, which means you're allowed to take in your textbooks. I mean, they're virtual, they're digital textbooks with ICAEW, but you're allowed to access those digital textbooks. So again, we're not testing you on a particular understanding because you've got the textbook in front of you in the exam. It's about how you put that understanding into practice. The exams can be sat at an exam center in Sri Lanka or wherever you are in the world, or you can sit them via remote invigilation. So you could set up from home or from work, as long as you've got the necessary requirements on your laptop and you have enough software and the requirements are met, then you'll be able to sit that from anywhere in the world, essentially. So that can be from home or from work, as I've said. There are 2 windows throughout the year that you can sit your exams. One in July, so that has just passed, but we do have another upcoming in November. So now is the perfect time if you are eligible to join and sit for our advanced level exams, now is the perfect time to register and start thinking about preparing for those exams, which will be in November. The booking window to actually book your exam, you have to be registered in order to be able to do that, but that booking window opens in a few weeks on the 12th of September. So in terms of fees for this whole program, so we've waived the student registration fee. That's usually £180. So that's free of charge for students that are joining this scheme from Sri Lanka. Your exemptions, or CPL as we refer to them, your credits for prior learning, that's free of charge as well. So we don't charge you for those exemptions for the certificate or the professional level. The only fee that's applicable to you joining this route is your exam fee. And you'll see there that it's £180 for the corporate reporting, £180 for the strategic business management exam, and then £270 for the case study exam. But that is the only investment that you would need to make in terms of ICAEW at this point. So I'm going to give you a little look now at the exam software itself. So you will have to bear with me. Hopefully the technology allows me to do this seamlessly. I'm sure it will. Again, Lakmini, could you just confirm that you can see that before I start?
Yes, Daniel.
Excellent.
We will see this.
Great. So this is literally what you would see on exam day. This is a sample of one of our exams. So you'll notice there's a 3-column layout here. So you've got a resources pane on the left, you've got your reading pane in the middle, and you've got your answer area here on the right-hand side. So this is a student-led design. And what I mean by that is students have actually helped us to create this based on the feedback of students. What do they want to see? What is useful for them, or what's the easiest way for them to be able to sit an ICAEW exam? So there was a lot of feedback, a lot of work to go into the production of this exam software. In terms of that resource area on the left, so you'll notice the thumbnails here, which will give you your exam questions. So you've got question 1 here, and then you've got the exhibits that will be associated to that question on the left-hand side. So you can collapse this whole column here to allow yourself for more room, or if you want it there for quick reference, it's there as well. But then the reading pane, which is the main area where your exam and your resource content will be found. So when you're reading the question, you can move the divider to the right here to allow more space. And then when you're done reading the question, you can reduce that. So you've got more space for your workings out on this side, but we'll come on to that. You can pin the different questions or the resources, depending on how many you want to see or how many you want to access. So it's all very intuitive and very straightforward to use, depending on which ones you want to watch or which ones you want to see. So with regards to the answer area, this right-hand side, so we'll expand that, because I think in the exam you'd want to do that to ensure that you've got enough space to work. So that's split into 2 areas. On the top here, you've got your word processor, which is a rich text processor, and it will give you all the normal tools that you would find in any other word processor that you find. So you can insert a table, you've got bold, italics, different fonts, everything that you'd expect to see within any word processor. Now, this is the only area that is marked in an ICAEW exam, which I think is really important to remember. So everything that you have in here will be marked. Whereas the spreadsheet area, it's a fully functioning spreadsheet. Again, you can move the divider up and down to ensure that you've got enough space on what you're working on. But it's a fully functioning spreadsheet with all the functions that you'd expect to see. But this is purely for your working out only. So it's just a working area. So anything that you do input into the spreadsheet area, it wouldn't get marked by an ICAEW examiner once you submit your exam. And this was a conscious decision by ICAEW to do that, And the reason is because we want to encourage professional skills in communication, because that is a huge part of what is required of an ICAEW member. So, you know, if you put that into a real life example, if you're working with a client or doing some client work in your day job as a chartered accountant, you wouldn't be showing them complicated spreadsheets. You would actually be writing a report to them and explaining how you've got to the calculations that you've made. So just to reiterate, everything within the word processor is marked. Nothing in the spreadsheet area would be marked at all. So you'll notice across the top where we've got the toolbar, you can navigate through here from questions 1 to 2. There's just 2 questions in this sample exam. You might have more in your exam, but you can use this overview. If there was 3 and 4, you can click to jump directly to which question it is that you're working on. So you can go back and forth quite easily and skip questions if needed. You can even flag questions as well. So if you know you need to come back to something before you submit your exam, you can see that you've got your flag there, and you could jump straight back into that question to go back to it. So it's all very simple to use and very user friendly. You've also got a highlighting function. So anything that you want to highlight throughout any of the material here, the exhibits that you're using, that's there. You've also got your notepad as well, which can be expanded and moved depending on how you want to use it, and a calculator as well. You'll see the clock which is clicking down. So most ICAEW exams at the advanced level are 4-hour exams. In fact, I think they all are at advanced level. So this started ticking down clearly when I started this demo. Entirely your preference. If you can have the clock count down, you can select it to count up, depending on how you work. Or if you're like me, you probably want to hide the clock altogether because you don't want to know until the end, perhaps, how much time, so you're not putting pressure on yourself potentially. So again, entirely your preference what you do there. The accessibility tab as well here. So you can change the color scheme and the color theme just to find something that might be a bit more suitable to your needs, or just something that's more comfortable for you to use. This is quite commonly used by people that might have visual disabilities or colorblind, for example. They can use this to make sure that they can see more comfortably. Now, what you would be asked to do in an ICAEW exam as well is access external software. So within the ICAEW corporate reporting exam, there is a large data analytics section. So you'll see this link here, which if you click would take you directly through to the data analytics software that is used for that particular exam. In this case, it's Inflow, which is a software which is used by many firms and many organizations. But that link would take you directly through to Inflow, where you, on the day, this is just a demo, so you can't see it now, but on the day you'd have lots, this would be infilled with data that you would need to analyze and then report back using your working out and answer the question based on that. I've mentioned the learning materials as well earlier. So all of the ICAEW textbooks are digital now. So you would access them on your computer, and you do that as well by clicking a link. So this would take you directly through to your bookshelf, your ICAEW bookshelf. So all of the textbooks that you would have purchased or accessed would be appearing for you to use on the day. So again, whatever exam it is, if it was, where are we? Strategic business management, for example, your workbook's there. So you could click that and it takes you directly through to your strategic business management textbook. So I think that's covered everything in terms of the demo. So if I jump back in yes, hopefully that's back on screen. So that hopefully gives you an idea of what the software looks like. And computer-based exams might be daunting, but hopefully you've seen there that actually it's quite easy to use. It's very easy to use. It's user-friendly and makes your exam experience much easier actually on the day, because it's using software that you can familiarize yourself with before as well. And I think that's a good point as well. Once you register as an ICAEW student, you can access that software, so you can play around with it and the data analytics software as well. So you can familiarize yourself with it before your exam, so that there's no surprises on the day. There's some important links as well, which would obviously be for you once you have registered, which can be shared at a later date. But again, it's all on our website. So if you are registered and you're considering the November exams, then definitely access these links to familiarize yourself with everything that's there. In terms of next steps as well, so you'd need to enroll with a learning partner or an ICAEW partner in learning. We have a number of online partners, so BPP and Kaplan are offering very strong online learning tools which help you prepare for your exams. But we do have 2 tuition providers as well based in Sri Lanka, which we can share with you after today. You may have heard of APEAT and Oxford Business College. They are ICAEW partners in learning there in Colombo, so can offer your classes or your tuition as you prepare for your ICAEW exams. So if you are keen to move forward, then you need to register with us as a student. As soon as you're registered, that gives you the ability to book your exam. You can access all of the data, all of the information that's there, the question banks, the practice exams, the exam software, past exams would be there for you to access as well. So as soon as you register, you can do that through our website. And you'd also need to access your ICAEW learning materials. And actually, I'm happy to say that right now we're able to offer those on a first come, first served basis for free, actually. So we have some 100% discount codes that if you sign up for the November exams, we can offer you those learning resources, those digital textbooks that I showed you. We can give you those for free. So hopefully you'll take us up on that offer and register. As soon as you're registered, I can give you access to those textbooks. So we talked a little bit about the cost earlier on. So just to go over that again, the ICAEW student registration fee is waived. So that's free of charge for students of CA Sri Lanka who are joining this scheme. Your exam fees for all 3 exams would cost £617. Appreciate the exchange rate is changing quite regularly, but I think that gives you a rough idea of where we're at over the last few days, about 260,000 Sri Lankan rupees. And the digital learning materials, which is usually £86 per book. But as I say, we've got free discount codes for those right now for students in Sri Lanka. So that would be free of charge if you were to sign up for this November window. And then the tuition providers will offer different packages and different rates for their tuition. Now, clearly, once you go through the training and the education part of this qualification, once you've met all the requirements that are necessary, and once you've passed your exams, once you've completed your training and the ethics program, that's when you'd be invited to be a member or a dual member of CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW. Now, any members that are joining via this special route in Sri Lanka, they pay one combined membership fee, and they just pay the membership fee of £200. And that £200 would give you membership of both CA Sri Lanka and the ICAEW. And just to give you some context as to how good of an opportunity this is, ICAEW's annual membership fee for everyone else that hasn't sat via this route is £400 per year. Whereas if you come through this special route, you'd be paying £200 per year, and that gives you CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW. So hopefully you see this is a good opportunity. So in summary, and just before I close and pass back to Sarah, It's an opportunity to give you local recognition as a chartered accountant in Sri Lanka and ICAEW simultaneously. You can get that by doing no further training or no additional exams. You'd be joining a network of ICAEW of 160,000 chartered accountants. And there's affordable tuition and affordable resources that will help you to become a member. And there's that one reduced membership rate at the end of that once you've qualified. If you want to take things forward, then you need to confirm your eligibility with CA Sri Lanka directly. And if you are eligible, you would complete an ICAEW registration form, which we would process so we can get you registered on our website. And you then need to find a tuition provider, access your learning materials, and then book your exam. As I mentioned earlier, the booking window opens on September the 12th and is open for 2 weeks until September the 23rd. So that's when you say you're ready or you want to book your exam, and you would book that. The actual exam takes place in November. Once you've booked your exam, that's when you start preparations and practicing, and then practicing again, using all of the resource that ICAEW provides. Your tuition provider will also provide you lots of resource as well. So making sure that you keep that repetition and keep practicing to make sure on exam day you're ready. So hopefully that's given you a good insight as to what the Joint Student and Membership Scheme is. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to you. I hope you found it useful. And I'm going to pass you back to Sarah right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel, for taking us through that insightful presentation. We definitely had a lot to learn regarding the opportunities and avenues to which gates are open for us aspiring chartered accountants. So next, we have with us Mr. Kavindu Ruendra to share with us more insights, being a holder of a dual membership and qualified as a chartered accountant from both ICAEW and ICAEW. Platform is now over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your warm introduction. Being a chartered accountant indeed opens countless opportunities for you. And with proper planning and selection of the right pathway and the right qualification for you would allow you to clearly go to your desired outcome and be a chartered accountant in prestige organization. I'm sure you might have already done a research about ICAEW, and Daniel also added some background about the ICAEW. ICAEW is one of the prestigious accounting body in the world, which has members nearly 188,000 over nearly 150 countries throughout the world. Believe me, once you become a chartered accountant of ICAEW, you opens a world of opportunities. For an example, once you come to the job market, you have accessibility to untapped job market over the world and allowing global mobility for you to locate in the place where you want to be. And if you have planned to go for higher education, once you become a member of ICAEW, you have significant amount of exemption which are offered from the recognized universities throughout the world. For an example, if you would want to enroll for a MBA program or MSc program, there are certain programs offered in UK which allows you exemption for 10 subjects out of 15 subjects, which is quite amazing. And once you become a member or once you become a student of ICAEW, you have access to the resources of the ICAEW. As Daniel rightly explained, there are numerous ways for your personal and professional growth and for you to keep up to date into the industry and to keep up to date in your personal and professional development. When it comes to the arrangement of ICAEW and CA Sri Lanka, basically there are 3 separate routes which we can discuss. The first route is the experience route. Say once you become a CA Sri Lanka member, and then when you have post-qualified experience of 5 years, then you can enroll for ICAEW membership. by giving a assessment. And the second route, it's the top-up method. Let's say once you become a chartered accountant CA Sri Lanka and you don't have post-qualified experience of 5 years, then you can sit for the remaining 3 subjects in ICAEW, which is corporate reporting, strategic business management, and case study, and then become a member of ICAEW. And the third route, which was recently implemented back in 2020, which is the dual membership. Whereas once you become when you are a student of CA Sri Lanka, rather than doing the final subjects in the CA Sri Lanka, you can sit for those subjects in ICAEW, corporate reporting, strategic business management, and the case study, and become the member of both organizations. So I find this is a goal. This has a golden opportunity because you don't need to necessarily sit for the CA Sri Lanka exams, but instead by sitting for ICAEW, these ICAEW exams, you can get the membership of both organizations, and it's a quite unique opportunity which has opened recently for Sri Lankan students. In that case, as Sri Lankan also, it is something for us to can be proud about ourselves, because one of the prestige organization in the world, the ICAEW, has recognized and valued the weight of the curriculum and weight of the qualification in CA Sri Lanka. So that's why they have offered such a unique opportunity for CA Sri Lanka students. And if I were to explain my story, what are the benefits that I've gained from ICAEW? Back in 2018, I was able to complete the chartered accountants in Sri Lanka, but at that time, the dual qualification route was not available. So the only route available was the top-up approach. So once I became a member of the CA Sri Lanka, I had to sit the remaining 3 subjects in ICAEW to get the ICAEW qualification. So then back in 2019, I started to study for ICAEW exam. At that time, I had been working for KPMG for 4 years in Sri Lanka. Then I moved to Malta. During my time in Malta, I studied for ICAEW because I really wanted to gain internationally recognized qualification for me to explore untapped job opportunities throughout the world. Then after a year, I was able to complete the ICAEW exams. And once I start to apply for the overseas opportunities, I found that my CV is getting shortlisted, and I have attended to number of interviews throughout that period. And quite satisfactorily, I found that my recognition for my CV and recognition for my profile has increased immensely due to the background of the education, the qualification which I've gained, and the knowledge which I've gained from the both CA Sri Lanka and ICAEW. For an example, I remember there was a opportunity offered from one of the reinsurance companies in Switzerland, and they were specifically looking for ICAEW qualified chartered accountant. And also I was fortunate to receive an offer from one of the big 4 audit firm in Netherlands and one of the big 4 firm in Ireland. And finally, I received an offer from United Kingdom. And then back in 2021, I moved to UK. So once I stayed in UK for quite a number of years, then still I start to realize that the opportunities which I received throughout the UK market has also increased significantly. Then recently, a couple of months ago, I got opportunity to move from the audit practice to the industry. So I moved to one of a large insurance company in Europe. that was one of my aspiration and dream to achieve and to work in the industry of the insurance market. I believe the success which I achieved in my professional life is at least partly due for the recognition which I received from ICAEW. And that's why when I mentioned about this pathway, I mentioned it as a golden opportunity, because this is something unique opportunity which has recently opened for our CA Sri Lanka students. During my speech, I would like to specifically discuss few of the disbelief we have in terms of this ICAEW exam. I would take this time to suspend this disbelief. For an example, if we consider the computer-based software, sometimes we may interpret computer-based software as a challenge or a difficulty for us to pass this exam. If I share my experience back in 2019, when I started ICAEW, that was the first time that ICAEW implemented this computer-based software. At that time, I didn't have any experience on sitting computer-based software, because so far, for my time being, I had sit for exams physically. I haven't faced any exam under the computer-based software system. So it was a bit of a concern for me, but I took a decent time, and specifically once I became the member of ICAEW, I had access to the question bank. As Daniel rightly mentioned, the exam software allows quite a number of tactics and useful tools which you could use during the exam itself, which ultimately leads to efficiency and allowing you to successfully submit your answers in efficient manner. For an example, as you might have seen in the practical computer-based software, you could easily access to your study materials, and also you could see the exam paper on a one side. So for an example, if you want to extract a certain information from a study pack or exam paper, you can just simply copy and paste this information into your answer without answer quite efficiently. The second disbelief which I want to discuss revolves around the cost. I appreciate the fact that when we convert the exam cost and the membership cost into Sri Lankan currency, allowing the exchange rate, so you could see it as a relatively expensive compared to a Sri Lanka exams. But if I were to be open with you, once you become a member of ICAEW, the investment which you made on the exams, the payback of this investment could be relatively less than a month, or it could be maybe even less than 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So that's why I want to emphasize this. Rather than interpreting it as an expense, you could interpret this as an investment, because this qualification would allow you to go into the untapped job market and for you to rank yourself, position yourself in a quite unique way among the other candidates in the job market. The third point which I want to discuss revolves around the language. So sometimes we may have a disbelief that as this is a UK related qualification, English language would be a barrier for us to successfully complete this exam. But I would like to emphasize the fact this is an exam which is designed to demonstrate your technical knowledge and how you could apply this technical knowledge into the practical context. The general proficiency in English would be required, but it is not a significant factor which hinder you becoming and successfully completing the ICAEW exams. And the final point which I want to mention The ICAEW exams are well structured. For an example, if you take corporate reporting or strategic business management, once you get the paper on the exact exam day, you would see the exam paper follows a similar approach. For an example, there will be only 3 questions, and the format of the question is also set out in a similar way. For an example, there could be Appendix A, Appendix B, and then you could see the questions. So the papers are set in a quite a methodological way, and actually it allows on the exam day for you to be well prepared for the exam. And if you could simply Google about the pass rate of the advanced level exams for ICAEW, you may wonder, because for corporate reporting, I just Google it and the pass rate is nearly 80%. And for strategic business management, the pass rate is 85%. And for the case study, the pass rate is again, it's recorded at 80%. So the passing rates are relatively high, and this shows if you put a decent level of effort with your dedication, you can easily go through with the exams of ICAEW. And by taking some time, I would like to delve into the details, quite in details about the 3 separate subjects of the curriculum that you have to see. Specifically, if I were to discuss on the corporate reporting and strategic business management, these 2 subjects are set out in a similar way. The content of the subjects are similar compared to the respective CA Sri Lanka subjects. For an example, under the corporate reporting, you may see basic consolidation or accounting standard and questions around the auditing, corporate governance, which is relatively similar to the CA Sri Lanka curriculum. And also in the strategic business management, you may see fundamentals of management accounting, fundamentals of corporate risk management, and fundamentals of financial management. In my experience, I didn't attend to separate tuition programs for these to sit for the corporate reporting and strategic business management, because as I mentioned, I completed my chartered accountancy and then I started to study ICAEW under the top-up approach. So I had my knowledge, which I gained while doing the ICAEW CA Sri Lanka exams. So the approach which I've taken was to go through the learning materials, the study packs, and then practice the actual questions in the question bank. And I personally believe, as Sri Lankan students, you may also consider to attend to CA Sri Lanka based tuition programs in order to sit for these ICAEW exams, or you may also consider to self-study, as you have quite unique study materials, study resources with you. And if I move on to the case study exam, this is something which I found different from my expectation. For an example, once I analyzed the case study exam for the last 3 to 4 years when I was sitting for the exam, I found that the exam was set out in a quite similar way. For an example, under the first question, there is a question around the ratio analysis, a simple ratio analysis. And then under the second question, there's a question around the business aspect. For an example, to take a decision about the business, whether to drop off a product or whether to continue the product line, whether to keep a customer or whether to drop off a customer. And under the third aspect, there will be a question covering the external environment of the business. So once I analyzed the exam papers, I found the exam questions are relatively straightforward to answer, using the case study exam, the pre-seen case study given before the exam. However, I failed this case study exam twice because I underappreciated the fact that I have to put quite a decent level of amount and time to understand the exam writing technique, because under the case study exam, we have to submit a report. So once we submit this report, we have to write the answer in order to address the specific requirement which are outlined in the marking scheme. So when we write to the ICAEW case study exam, we have to be very much prepared to address all the requirements which are specified and outlined in the marking scheme. And a good level of preparation is required to sit for this case study exam. And by concluding my speech, what I really want to emphasize the fact, the ICAEW qualification allowed me to explore the job market throughout Europe, Middle East, and even in the Asia as well. So I've noticed that my profile getting shortlisted in a quite significant way compared to before. And it allowed number of opportunities for my personal and professional development. And my humble request for you to do a little bit more research about this qualification. And in any case, if you have any questions, feel free to be in touch. And I wish you all the best and looking to see you as a member of ICAEW. Thank you. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamidu, for taking us through that insightful presentation and speech. So thanks to you both. Now the way ahead of us is clear. We gained a lot more clarity on why we should consider being dual qualified, the benefits and opportunities open for us, if so, and how we can go ahead with it. So now I would like to invite Ms. Lakshmi Pereira, Deputy Manager, Education of CA Sri Lanka, to give our audience a summary on today's session in Sinhala. So platform is now over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Hope I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Daniel and Kamidu, for sharing your experience and valuable thoughts on this valuable opportunity that our students are getting. So, මම ලොකු වෙලාවක් ගන්නෙ නෑ. I think ඕගොල්ලෝ ගොඩක් දැන් ස්පීච් එක ඇහුවා. මම කෙටියෙන් පැහැදිලි කරන්නම් ඩැනියල් සහ කමිදු කතා කරපු කොටස් ටික. ඇත්තටම ICAEW කියන්නේ දැන් අපි හිතනවා අපි CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක national body එකක් හැටියට දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතනවා ඇති ඕගොල්ලන්ට global opportunity එකක් නැහැ කියලා. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේක listen කරාම තේරෙනවා ඕගොල්ලන්ට හොඳ pathway එකක් හොඳ opportunity එකක් තියෙනවා global recognition එකට යන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ international arena එකට යන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට international market එකේ perform කරන්න හොඳ opportunity එකක් දැන් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට දැන් මේ ICAEW කිව්වහම ඒක ඇවිල්ලා prestige ඇත්තටම කිව්වොත් chartered accountants ලාගේ birth place එක කිව්වොත් මම හිතන්නේ නිවැරදි. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ තැනකින් ඕගලන්ට recognition එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ICAEW එක මේ වගේ recognition එකක් දීලා තියෙන්නේ ලංකාවට සහ ඒ කියන්නේ ලංකාවෙන්ම CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ students ලාට තමයි මේ opportunity එක ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම තව රටවල් කීපයකට විතරයි මේ කියන dual membership opportunity එක ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක remarkable opportunity එකක් ඕගොල්ලන්ට හම්බ වෙන. ඕගොල්ලන් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නම් දැන් තියෙන trend එක අනුව බැලුවත් ඕගොල්ලෝ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නම් international arena එකේ international market එකට යන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට දැන් opportunity එක තියෙනවා. මෙතන ඇති ICAEW එකට register වෙච්ච අයත් ඇති ICAEW කරන්න දැන් මේක අහුවට පස්සේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අයත් ඇති මේ වෙනකොට CA එක කරගෙන යන අයත් ඇති ඒ හැම කෙනෙකුටම පුළුවන් මේ opportunity එක ගන්න මේ වෙලාවේ ඕගොල්ලන්ට ගන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම opportunity එකක් මේක grab කරන්න එතකොට දැන් කමිදු කිව්වා වගේත් ඕගොල්ලන්ට මෙතන ඩැනියල් සහ කමිදු කිව්ව විදිහට මෙතන ග්ලෝබල් නෙට්වර්ක් එකක් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේක ඉංග්ලන්ඩ් විතරක් නෙවෙයි. ඕගොල්ලන්ට රටවල් කීපෙකම all over the world ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ job opportunities සහ recognition එක ගන්න පුළුවන් opportunity එකක් මේක. එතකොට දැන් කමිදු පැහැදිලි කරා වගේ කමිදුගේ CV එකට තියෙන recognition එක වැඩි වුණා කිව්වා. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ value එක වැඩි කරගන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට market එකේ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ value එක වැඩි කරගන්න මේ වගේ opportunity එකක් ගොඩාක් හොඳයි. මේ ඒ කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා national body එකෙන් membership එක ගන්න ගමන් worldwide recognized prestige ICAEW වගේ oldest professional accountancy body එකෙන් membership එක අරන් තියනවා කියන්නේ ඒක මම හිතන්නේ ඕගොල්ලන්ට හම්බෙන ලොකු opportunity එකක්. එතකොට මේ membership එක ගැන ඒ කියන්නේ membership pathway එක ගැන කියනවා නම් ඩැනියල් මම හිතන්නේ ඒක ගොඩාක් හොඳට පැහැදිලි කළා. එතනදී ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන වාසිය තමයි මේකෙදි ICAEW එකේ ඔක්කොම මොඩියුල්ස් කරන්න නැහැ. CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් වෙනකම් කරලා තියෙන ළමයෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් එයාට ඩිරෙක්ට්ලි ICAEW එකේ මොඩියුල්ස් ටික ලියන්න පුළුවන්. එයාට ICAEW එක අතර රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ පාත්වේ එකේ යන්න පුළුවන් පැරලලි. CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ ඒවා කරන ගමන්ම කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම එයා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඇඩිෂනල් මොඩියුල්ස් කියලා නැහැ. CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ මොඩියුල් 5යි නාගොල්ලෝ ස්ට්‍රැටජික් ලෙවල් එකේ ලියන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ මොඩියුල් 5න් එහාට වැඩිපුර මොඩියුල්ස් ලියන්න නැහැ. එතකොට එතනදී ඔයාලා CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේදී ලියන්නේ SL2 එකයි SL3 එකයි. ඒ SL2 SL3 එක හැරෙන්න SL1 SL4 සහ අපේ තියෙන case study එක වෙනුවට ICAEW එකේ case study එකයි corporate reporting එකයි strategic business management එකයි reporting එකයි ලියනවා. එතකොට ඔයාලා මොහොමත් කරන්නේ මොඩියුල් 5යි. එතනදී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පැරලලි මේ දෙක කම්ප්ලීට් කරලා පැරලලි මේ ඩුවල් මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකයි මේක ඩුවල් මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එක කියන්නේ එකම වතාවකදී CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එකයි ICAEW මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එකයි දෙකම ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට. ඒ ඔපචුනිටි එක එක යුනික් ඔපචුනිටි එකක් ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා. කොහෙන්වත් ඒ විදිහට දැන් ICAEW එක CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ ඇත්තටම ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම රෙකග්නයිස් කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ තාක් වෙනකන් කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් එක වෙනකන් අපේ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්වොලිෆිකේෂන් එක යටතේ කරන නොලෙජ් මොඩියුල්ස් 100%ක් ICAEW එකෙන් රෙකග්නයිස් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ හැම එකටම එක්සෙම්පෂන් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේ පාත්වේ එකේ තියෙන අනිත් ඇඩ්වාන්ටේජ් එක තමයි ඩැනියල් එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරපු විදිහට මේ පාත්වේ එකේ ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඉනිෂියලි කොස්ට් එකක් නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලන්ට රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් ෆී එකක් නැහැ. ඒ වගේම එක්සෙම්පෂන් ෆී එකක් නැහැ. ICAEW එකේ මොඩියුල් 15කින් මොඩියුල් 12කට ඔයාලට එක්සෙම්පෂන් ලැබිලත් ඒ එක එක්සෙම්පෂන් එකකටවත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කොස්ට් එකක් charge කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මං හිතන්නේ ඒකත් ලොකු ඔපචුනිටි එකක්. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ වෙන විදිහකට ආයෙත් වෙන ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් බොඩි එකක මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එක ගන්න යනවා නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් ෆී ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. ඒකේ එක්සෙම්පෂන් ෆී ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. අනිත් එක මේ තරම් එක්සෙම්පෂන් ප්‍රමාණයක් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. අන්න ඒ වගේ ඔපචුනිටි එකක් යුනික් ඔපචුනිටි එකක් මෙතන තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ වගේ ඊසි පාත් එක දැන් ඩැනියල් පැහැදිලි කරපු විදිහට කොස්ට් එක හැටියට ඕගලන්ට ලංකාවේ මුදලින් ගත්තොත් ලක්ෂ 4කටත් වඩා අඩු ප්‍රමාණයක් යන්නේ. ඒක කම්පැරටිව්ලි ඕගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රයිවට් ඩිග්‍රී එකක් කරනවටත් වඩා ලෝ කොස්ට් එකක් තමයි එතන තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අඩුම මුදලකින් ඕගලන්ට වර්ල්ඩ් වයිඩ් ප්‍රෙස්ටිජ් මෙම්බර්ෂිප් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේකේ දැන් මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩක් ඔපචුනිටිස් වගේක් ඩැනියල් කිව්වා. එතකොට ඩිස්කවුන්ට්ස් හම්බෙනවා කිව්වා ඕගොල්ලන්ට ස්ටඩි මැටීරියල්ස් වලට ICAEW. එතකොට රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න ICAEW එකේ එක්සෑම්ස් තියෙන්නේ ජුලයි සහ නොවැම්බර්. එක්සෑම්ස් ගත්තාම නොවැම්බර් එක්සෑම්ස් වලට රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න තියෙන්නේ සෙප්තැම්බර් 12 ඉඳලා 23 වෙනකන්. එතකොට මේ කාලයට කලින් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් අපිට කතා කරලා CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ මට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්, මට ඊමේල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඕගොල්ලෝ ඉන්ට්‍රෙස්ට් නම් මේකට රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න, ඕගොල්ලන්ට කතා කරන්න, ඊමේල් කරන්න. එතකොට අපි ICAEW එකේ ඔයාලව රෙජිස්ටර් කරනවා. මේ ඔයාලා රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න ඕනේ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක through. රෙජිස්ටර් කරාම ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ICAEW එකේ මොඩියුල්ස් ඇඩ්වාන්ස් ලෙවල් එකේ මොඩියුල් 3 ලියන්න. එතකොට ඩැනියල් බොහොම පැහැදිලිව ඔයගොල්ලන්ට එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරා කොහොමද මේ එක්සෑම් වලට ඉඳගන්නේ. දැන් කමිදු පැහැදිලි කරපු විදිහට මේ එක්සෑම්ස් ගත්තාම දැන් ICAEW එක රෙකග්නයිස් කරන්නේ අපේ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ එක්සෑම්ස්. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ ස්ටඩීස් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් එක වෙනකන් අදාළ මොඩියුල්ස් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් එතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ට CA ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ තියෙන SL1 SL4 වගේ මොඩියුල්ස් වල ස්ටඩි පැක් රිෆර් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් ඕගොල්ලන්ට පන්ති යන්න ඕන නම් පන්ති යන්නත් පුළුවන් ටියුෂන් ප්‍රොවයිඩර්ස්ලාත් අපි ඉදිරියේදී ප්‍රොවයිඩ් කරනවා. එතකොට ඒකට යන්නත් පුළුවන් self study කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. මොකද ස්පෙෂලි corporate reporting සහ strategic business management කියන ICAEW module දෙක more or less similar ඒ කියන්නේ content වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් අපේ CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා module දෙකට ගොඩාක් දුරට ඕගොල්ලන්ට පහසුයි ඒ දෙකත් එක්ක කම්පෙයාර් කරගන්න. ඒ නිසා ගොඩාක් දුරට ඕගොල්ලෝ ICAEW ඩැනියල් පැහැදිලි කරපු විදිහට ICAEW එකේ ඔන්ලයින් ප්ලැට්ෆෝම් එකට හුරු වුණා නම් ඔන්ලයින් ප්ලැට්ෆෝම් එකේ ලියන විදිහට ප්‍රැක්ටිස් වුණා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ හැම රිසෝස් එකක්ම දෙනවා ICAEW එකෙන්. ඒවෙන් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරා නම් ඕගොල්ලන්ට ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් ලොකු චැලෙන්ජ් එකක් නෑ මේ මොඩියුල් දෙක පාස් වෙන්න. ඊට පස්සේ තියෙන කේස් ස්ටඩි එක. ඒ නිසා මේ ඔපචුනිටි එක ග්‍රැබ් කරන්න නොවෙම්බර් වල එක්සෑම් එක තියෙනවා. මම දැක්කා දරුවෙක් අහලා තියෙනවා අනිත් එක්සෑම්ස් වලට පුළුවන්ද කියලා. ඔව්. ඒ කියන්නේ හැම අවුරුද්දකම ජූලයි සහ නොවැම්බර් එක්සෑම්ස් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඒ ඕනම එක්සෑම් එකකට ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඉඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්. CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් එකේ ඔක්කොම knowledge modules complete කරලා තියෙනවා නම් අපිට කතා කරන්න මට ඊමේල් කරන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් කතා කරන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට වැඩි විස්තර දෙන්න පුළුවන් ICAEW එකේ රෙජිස්ටර් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ opportunity එක grab කරන්න ඕගොල්ලෝට හොඳ opportunity එකක් ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ මේක අනිවාර්යෙන් මේ අවස්ථාව ගන්න. Thank you. All the best. Sarah, I think you are on mute.
I'm really sorry for that. Thank you very much for that, Ms. Lakmini. I know by now all of us might be having a lot of questions and areas unclear and wanting to get them clarified. The platform is all yours. Please feel free to type in all your questions via the chat box, or even raise your hand and unmute yourself and let us know your thoughts before we wind up for the day. Our guest speakers and panelists, we will be more than happy to get them clarified for you all. So far we have some to directing if there are any exam centers in the Maldives.
Yeah, I'll take that. So thanks for the question. Yeah, we can facilitate that, but I do recommend actually that what would be more straightforward for you if you are sitting your exam in the Maldives would be to sit via remote invigilation. So remote invigilation is obviously a very flexible way for people to sit exams without having to go to an exam center. So all you really need to do that is a fairly strong internet connection and to make sure that your laptop meets the requirements for the software that we're using for the exam. And you'd also need a smartphone, which you'd have on the room that gives like a panoramic view of your surroundings. And you need to make sure that you're not interrupted for the 4-hour exam. So remote invigilation is probably the best way for you to sit in the Maldives. However, if you were adamant that you wanted to sit at a center, we could look to organize something for you potentially.
We have one more question. Students asking if after we register ourselves with ICAEW, do we need to pay the annual student subscription fee up until we receive our membership?
It's a good question. I assume by that you mean the ICAEW fee, which you don't have to pay any student registration fee for the ICAEW element. I'm not sure if you pay a fee to be a registered student of CA Sri Lanka. That will be with CA Sri Lanka. I'm sure that would remain until you qualify. But for the ICAEW joint scheme, there is no student registration fee at all. even for your renewal or however long it takes you to qualify. As the agreement stands, there's no fee.
And also there's another question asking if there is any additional fee for the textbooks, which are the study materials.
No, so I think I said in the presentation that they're £86 per book or per subject, but we have got an offer right now for students in Sri Lanka, which we hope you can take up. So they would be free of charge right now for students in Sri Lanka.
Okay, so that was clear. And also we have one more question asking if we once we purchase our study material and we are not able to sit for the exam, can we use the study materials for the upcoming exam, or do we have to pay for it once again?
You would have to renew those textbooks. I mean, yeah, because I think they can change depending on policy or legislation of that particular exam or whatever it is, what subject you're doing. So you would need the up-to-date version, but we would hope that we would be able to continue. I can't promise it, obviously, but we'd hope that we'd be able to continue the free learning resources for students in Sri Lanka joining this scheme.
And also one more question, if we are to sit for ICAEW exams, is there any training requirement that as a prerequisite?
Not for the ICAEW element, no. So in order for you to be eligible to sit your ICAEW exam, we would assume that you're up to a certain standard of your training anyway, i.e. you've completed corporate level or the training that is parallel to that. So no, to sit your ICA, the only restriction in place from an ICAEW exam perspective is that you must have sat or attempted corporate reporting and strategic business management before you can sit your case study. So your case study must be sat as the kind of last exam, your final exam.
Okay, and also we have one more question asking when registrations are opening up for the upcoming July examinations.
Well, we just missed the July actually, but the November ones. So now would be your time to register. If you register with us as a student now, that will give you plenty of time, or give us plenty of time to get your student number and your access to our website so that you can then go on to book your exam on the 12th of September. So that window to book your exam opens on the 12th of September and stays open for 2 weeks. So you've got from now, yeah, you've got basically 4 or 5 weeks before that window shuts. So if you are eligible and if you're keen and wanting to sit for that November exam, then please do confirm your eligibility with Pane or CA Sri Lanka, and then complete the ICAEW registration form.
Okay, and next we have a question from Hasanti. She is already a member of CA Sri Lanka and have 5 years of post-qualifying experience, and she's asking how she can become a member of ICAEW. Okay,
good. So I think, yeah, I touched on it very, very briefly in my presentation, and I think Kamadou did as well. So there is a pathway for members of CA Sri Lanka who have 5 years experience. It's called Pathways to Membership. You need to complete an examination of experience. There are 2 windows throughout the year that you can do that. Unfortunately, the one window is closing next week. So unfortunately, I don't think that'll be enough time for you to submit because there's quite a lot of work that goes into the examination of experience. It's basically a portfolio of work experience of your last 5 years that you present through a series of answering questions, which you do in your own time. You need to nominate a professional sponsor and someone who can vouch for you as a chartered accountant. It can take time to pull all that together. So I don't think you'd have enough time to do it for this window, but we will have another window opening up in December this year. So I'll put my email address in the chat box. Sorry, I'm not sure who asked that question. So I'll put my email address in the chat box, and this goes for anyone. If you've got any questions that you want to ask after today, then please do drop me an email, and certainly around pathways, because we can advise you on that next step, and we can train you through that process as well. So so yeah, get in touch with me. I think I've just put that in the right box, so hopefully you can see that.
So I hope those questions were all clarified. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
I think I did see one that's possibly not been addressed. I'm just trying to find it. So yeah, Shakir Nizar, if we did SL2 and SL3 only without completing SL1 and 4, can we do ICAEW? Yes, definitely. So SL2 and 3, you need to do those exams anyway from the strategic level. The 3 ICAEW exams replace SL1, SL4, and SL5. So hopefully that answers your question, Shakir. So if you're already in a position where you've completed SL2 and SL3, then you're definitely ready to sit ICAEW. In fact, to qualify as a dual member, all you need to do is do the ICAEW exams, and then you've qualified, assuming that your training is complete as well. Great, thanks, Shakir. Looks like that's been answered.
Yes, so if we don't have any other questions, so also at the time constraints, unfortunately.
Shanika? Shanika, yes, you can ask your question, Shanika.
Yes, sir. I already registered for the ICAEW. For my corporate, I have already completed my business level, all the subject of business level and the corporate level of ICASL. So from that qualification, I applied for the ICAEW, but I applied for the CPL application also. From that, I have only exempt from the certificate level, only from the ICAEW. I want to know that whether why we couldn't exempt from professional level from the ICAEW. Which
Yes.
means, do I need to do the professional levels and advanced level, both levels?
No, you shouldn't have to. So Shanika, hello. I think we were emailing, weren't we? Either earlier this week or a couple of weeks ago, I think. So good to talk to you properly. So yeah, apologies that's happened. I think there might be just some clarification needed from our applications team. So they look after the whole process of exemptions and applying that CPL. So you definitely don't have to sit the professional level exams for ICAEW. So definitely don't worry about that. It's probably just an admin thing that needs to be completed this side. To be honest, because it's a brand new scheme, we're kind of students are only really applying for their CPL for the very first time. So it's just about understanding or being able to recognize the transcripts that you have from CA Sri Lanka and making sure that our applications team recognize them fully. But I can assure you, you definitely, as long as you've done all of the necessary CA Sri Lanka exams that we've already discussed today, then you will be eligible to get all of those exemptions. So yeah, apologies that that's not been rectified for you yet, but we can organize that.
Yeah, Shanika, adding to what Daniel said, I think you said you have completed up to corporate level. Am I right, Shanika?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. So you have not done the strategic level SL2 and SL3, maybe some skill modules also. So sometimes
that's a good point. Yeah.
Sometimes ICAEW is like taking, when it comes to CPL, they might have set up as a whole because they are recognizing one-to-one our modules. So sometimes when you have submitted the transcript halfway through, sometimes certain modules may not get recognized. That may be the reason, but we can guarantee, as Daniel said, now if you once you submit your final transcript, that will be updated when you are getting your membership. There won't be any issue as long as you have done your CA Sri Lanka, all the necessary modules and task-based modules along with the practical training and skill modules. There won't be any issue that we can guarantee. Am I right, Daniel?
Yeah,
we can give that assurance, right?
It's a really good point, actually. I think perhaps why you haven't been given the CPL or the exemption for the professional level is because if you haven't sat the SL2 and SL3 from strategic level, then we won't be recognizing that. So it's a really, really good point, Lakmini. Yeah. So, but just to give you a reassurance, you will not have to sit the professional level exams. The only exams that you need to sit with ICAEW is those 3 advanced level exams.
Okay, sir.
You continue your studies as you have started, Shanika. There
Yeah,
won't
and
be any
what I will say is if you want, I think I did pop the email address. I think I responded to you with our applications team. So put that query in directly to them. And if you copy me in, I can make sure that that gets rectified for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good. I think that was possibly all the questions, was it? Or how can we access tuition? Yeah, good question. So we mentioned BPP and Kaplan. I tell Nazim, if you want to drop me an email, I can connect you. I can give you all of the details of, or and that goes for anyone. If you want to know who's offering tuition, then I can give you the detail about the online tuition providers as well as the colleges that are there in Colombo.
Yes, hope that answers all our questions for the day. Do we have any more questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I take your silence as a no. So as the time constraints, unfortunately, we have to now wrap up the question and answer session from here. But I hope that we got the right answers for the doubts and that you and I had for this long from our expert panel. So once again, a very big thank you for that insightful and lovely presentation, everyone. So everything that was shared with us today will definitely help us all. So I also take this time to thank the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales for facilitating us for today's session. I hope that this session was helpful in making clarity regarding this topic. So I personally enjoyed every minute of this insightful discussion today. So this was our 8th live question and answer session that came to an end. So please keep tuned in for more updates via socials, the official Facebook page and web page of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. Stay safe and take care until we meet again with another exciting live chat program. Till then, wishing you all a pleasant week ahead as we are approaching Friday, the last working day for the week. Keep safe and a very good night, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.